Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, June 15th. This is Gina McGuire. Today we'll expect windy conditions across most of Nevada and Utah, with the strongest winds anywhere over the western half of Utah into eastern and southern Nevada, and also along the Sierra Front into western Nevada, where wind gusts will easily exceed 40 to 50 miles per hour at times, along with low relative humidity. These areas across far western Utah into southern and eastern Nevada have seen rainfall recently, along with some thunderstorms, but again, still very strong winds and dry conditions are expected today. As we move into this weekend and next week, we'll also see a return of hot and dry weather to the Great Basin. Looking at the past 24 hours, the only lightning activity we saw was across southeast Idaho into western Wyoming, with some rainfall associated with these thunderstorms and only spotty precipitation further south and west. We did have a few fires reported across the Great Basin, but all fires remained small yesterday. However, again, today winds will be increasing, with the strongest winds expected today. Over the last 7 days, the image on the left shows where precipitation has occurred across the Great Basin, and again, the heaviest precipitation across central and eastern Nevada into northern Utah and western Wyoming, and the image on the right shows that this rainfall is well above normal for what we would normally see this time of year. Drier conditions, however, have continued across much of southwest Idaho into northern and western Nevada. Again, especially across western Nevada, this is where the winds will also be strong, with somewhat low to moderate relative humidity, but again after very dry conditions. Looking at the current ERCs across the Great Basin, ERCs have been increasing now that we've seen drier weather over the last couple of days, but are still generally below the 50th percentile, with the exception of over the Arizona Strip into parts of southern Utah, where ERCs have increased to near the 70th percentile in some areas. However, still, cheatgrass in the lower elevations is not very representative from ERC and is cured in really all lower elevations across the area. Now looking at the water vapor satellite loop, from today, we see a strong area of low pressure off the northwest coast, much stronger than what we would see this time of year, and this is responsible for our strong winds today across the Great Basin. This area of low pressure will remain constant off the west coast. Therefore, although today we will see the strongest winds across the area, we will still keep wind gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour over the next few days, along with cooling temperatures as this area of low pressure drops a little bit further south. This will drop temperatures to near to below normal across the Great Basin. Now looking at significant fire potential for today, generally low to moderate fire potential is expected across the southern half of the Great Basin. However, in the lower elevation cheatgrass that is cured out, we'll have to watch those areas if we see starts with these very strong winds and low relative humidity. However, sagebrush fuel moisture and live fuel moisture is still somewhat high. Looking at the weather components for today, relative humidity on the left shows generally relative humidity between 10 and 15% over much of Utah into southern and western Nevada. Again, these strongest winds today will be in these areas as well, with wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour or higher, especially in the higher elevations. Moving on to Thursday, this area of low pressure drops a little bit further south along the west coast. This will keep those strong southwest winds, but not as strong as what we will see today. Also, we may see some moisture move up into parts of central and southwest Idaho into northwest Nevada for some showers or thunderstorms, and this low will also bring much cooler temperatures. Therefore, Thursday will continue with a low to moderate fire potential in the south and still relatively low fire potential up north into Idaho. On Thursday, similar conditions with relative humidity, maybe a little bit higher along the Sierra Front into northwest Nevada, but generally 10 to 15% elsewhere over southern and eastern Nevada into Utah, again with the stronger winds still in the same areas, but again lighter than what we'll see today, with gusts mostly in the 30s. Looking at Friday, we still have this trough along the west coast with breezy southwest winds, and now we'll see some more drying conditions, especially over northeast Nevada into the higher elevations of Utah with low to moderate fire potential. Relative humidity may come up a little bit over northeast Nevada, with winds decreasing over northern and western Nevada, but still remaining breezy across the area, with the strongest winds over southern Nevada into the southern half of Utah, again where gusts generally between 25 and 35 miles per hour at times. The overall 3-day forecast amount of precipitation shows that any rainfall is generally going to be located over the central Idaho mountains into possibly northwest Nevada, with drier conditions across the rest of the Great Basin. Once we move past the windy and dry conditions this week, we'll start to heat up this weekend and especially early next week as strong high pressure over the southwest and Rocky Mountain area expands further north. This will still keep dry conditions across the Great Basin, with temperatures increasing to above normal again. You can also see on the significant fire potential map a lot more areas of brown indicating increasing fire potential as we see more curing of the fuels under these hot temperatures. As we move into early next week, This ridge now elongates across the Great Basin, again keeping mainly dry conditions and hot weather, with temperatures increasing to at least 10 degrees above normal, and again much drier conditions spreading up into northwest Nevada again and into southwest Idaho. We'll have to watch to see if any moisture moves north under this ridge of high pressure for thunderstorms, but right now it looks like any lightning activity and showers would be minimal. Looking at the overall 7-day amount of precipitation, this should look very similar to the 3-day, where any precipitation we see will be over the next few days, with dry conditions once we move into this weekend and next week. Looking later in the month of June, we're still expecting above normal temperatures and generally dry conditions, especially for the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.